When you look at the landscape of education, you can clearly see that our schools are underfunded, teachers are underpaid, and our children are frankly undereducated. Our classrooms, culture, curriculum, and communities are in crisis like never before, all in the midst of a preschool to prison pipeline. Yes, education is the key, but the lock is broken. So how do we fix it? I'm so glad you asked. Let's talk about it today on In the Mix as we have a courageous conversation entitled Education or Incarceration, Strategies to Unlock Our Children's Dreams. Oh yeah, and I've also got a special surprise for you too. I'm mic'd up. Join me and let's mix it up. What's good people? I hope you're having a great day in a great way. Come on, family, please hit the thumbs up button on this video. While you're doing that, hit the subscribe button as well. I'm so grateful and glad that you've joined us on a new episode of In the Mix. Yes, and I'm yours truly, your host with the most, Dr. Eddie Connor, and it is an honor that you've joined us and that you're here with us today. While you're here, you know what we got to do? We got to pay the light bill on our channel for change, our channel that creates change, our channel that breaks chains. What do I mean by paying the light bill? I want you to drop some light bulb emojis in the chat. Come on, drop some light bulb emojis in the chat. I hear you saying now, I wish it was just that easy to pay the light bill. It is right here on this digital space. But drop some light bulb emojis in the chat. Why? Because we're getting ready to light it all the way up. We're getting ready to have a conversation of illumination. It's going to be 100 watts. And we don't stop. Yeah. 0 to 100 real quick. We're going to keep it 100. We're going to light it up. We're going to turn the lights all the way on. We're too lit to quit. Why? Because we are the light of the world. Speaking of the light, we're getting ready to spotlight and highlight our topic today. Let's do that. Let's spotlight it. Let's highlight it. We're talking about education or incarceration, strategies to unlock our children's dreams. Yeah, family, let's have a courageous conversation about it. As we are in the throes and in the midst of the school year, I realize this: education is begging for innovation. It really is. Education is begging for innovation. And I want you to stick and stay with me throughout the duration of this conversation, because I got a very, very, very special surprise for you too. I got a very special surprise for you. So you want to stick and stay throughout the duration of this conversation. And here it is again. Education is begging for innovation. And innovation is begging, will you let me into the door of education? Why? Because what got us here is not going to be what keeps us here. Right? What got us here will not get us to where we want to go, and it won't keep us where we are right now. Family, if you haven't been living under a rock, you recognize this, that the times are changing. And if the times are changing, why aren't we changing with the times? Our Achilles heel is this. We focus solely on what we know, but not on what we don't know. We don't focus on what it is that we are missing. And I realize this, that a know-it-all really knows nothing at all. I have to understand that I have to have a receptive ear to learn, to listen, I also have to have a mind that will be a sponge to absorb new knowledge. Knowledge is your know-how. Knowledge has to be applied. Years ago, if you think about this, the preeminent motto in education was this: no child left behind. Y'all remember that? No child left behind. But if I really want to be honest about it, look at how many children have been left behind. Look at how many children are continually left behind. God forbid, your child, your children, oftentimes being left behind. Because now more than ever before in a post-pandemic world, not only are our children left behind, but the education system is further behind. And here's the thing, as education has become so anachronistic, as education has become so archaic, I realize this: if we don't evolve, we won't be involved. Now I'm an educator. Yeah. Taught school on the high school level for 12 years. I do a lot of consultant work with schools. Just did a symposium with about 300 to 400 teachers throughout a whole entire school district, administrators, education leaders, school board members. Right? I'm in the throes of it. I'm entrenched deeply into it. Then I mentor many of our young kids, mentor many of our young boys particularly. Right? Empowering them to read, lead, and succeed in my mentoring program, Boys to Books. Really empowering our young men through literacy, leadership, and life skills enrichment. Helping them to make that shift from just boyhood to manhood. Understanding what being a man is all about. Exposing them to a diversity of positive male role models from a multiplicity of different multi-disciplines, from a multiplicity of different careers, beyond just athletics and entertainment. Letting our young brothers know that we're not just one-dimensional, we are multidimensional. Right? Beyond just being able to shake a hand and tie a tie, got to recognize that you're tied to success, but you also have to be able to read. Sad indictment is that our young men know how to tie a tie, they know how to shake a hand, they know how to, the importance of pulling up their pants, this, that, and the other. But the sad indictment is that they go through your mentoring program and they don't have a literacy component. Every mentoring program must have a literacy component. It's incumbent, it's needed, it's necessary, it's vital, it's essential. Got to have that whole aspect. So I'm deeply entrenched in education. It's a love for me. I have a passion for it. I have a desire to see that change takes place from the community to the home to the classroom environment. And what I realize is that education is begging for innovation. We got to have innovation in how we teach. We have to have innovation how we disseminate information. We have to have innovation how we support our learners. We have to have innovation how we prepare our instructors and how we prepare our teachers. We have to have innovation to where, yes, our young people are using technology all the time, but how do we incorporate that into the classroom sector and the setting? Right? For this to happen, what we have to do is we have to have a more holistic approach. Come on, family, just type lead and learn. Type lead and learn. We have to reward innovation in education. We got to build it into program planning. We have to properly resource it throughout the landscape of our academic institutions. Right? Because we know what to do just to survive. But in this 21st century is begging for critical thinkers. The 21st century is begging for innovation. The 21st century is begging you to not just survive, but you have to thrive. When we're in the whole aspect where they're predicting that AI is going to replace close to 30+ million jobs across these yet to be United States of America. Innovation doesn't just happen. Here's what we have to do. We have to challenge ourselves. We have to look deeply. We have to analyze from a different aspect. We have to understand that we have to bridge the gap past familiarity so that we can help our children overcome the achievement gap. Innovation without proper preparation, innovation without strategic direction and mindful intention is a dangerous direction towards risk aversion. Gonna have to take some new risk. Gonna have to take some serious risk. Gonna have to take some calculated risk. Gonna have to develop what is our particular identity in your school system. What is your particular identity in your classroom? What is your particular identity as a board leader? What is your particular identity as an educational leader? What is your particular identity as a transformational teacher? What is your particular identity as a parapro? What is your particular identity as a mentor, as a caring community member, as a parent? Not solely what you do, but who you are. And helping our children to understand who they are as well. The gap in our identity throughout our school systems is only closed with intentionality. I need you to hear me. The spectrum of traditional education is broken. Education is the key, but I need you to hear me. The lock is broken. How do we fix it? We're gonna tackle that. We got to tackle that, because look at the landscape of what it is that we're experiencing. Look at how our kids are struggling to read. If you really analyze the literacy rates, especially within our communities, by the time reading scores are measured in the 3rd grade, the data already indicates that our children are severely underperforming. So here's the thing. There's an achievement gap that doesn't just begin in the classroom. The achievement gap also and really begins at home. Let me give you some context to the text of what it is that I'm speaking from that whole aspect. We have to encourage parents to spend intentional time reading to their children. Gotta do it. Gotta have it. I know we're busy. I know we're working multiple jobs. I know in many cases you may be raising multiple children. But we're going to have to take some time to carve out some intentional time. Why is that? Because researchers indicate that the average pre-literacy exposure for white children is roughly 3,000 hours. But in comparison to black children, it's only 250 hours. Do you see what I'm saying? The achievement gap doesn't just begin in the school system. The achievement gap begins in the home environment. And tradition has oftentimes become our Achilles heel. We have to have a particular non-traditional approach to education that in many cases shifts the narrative. Why? Because when you think about the cognitive neural development of our children, they need to be exposed to multiple genres of literacy. They have to be exposed to literacy that speaks to them and that really shows them who it is that they are. They have to see a reflection of themselves in the books that they read. Got to be culturally relevant. We have to be able to shift the particular aspect of who it is that they are and what it is that what we do, because a lot of times we just focus so much on that hoodie that they're wearing. We focus on those pants that are sagging. But here's the thing. Many of our young people are coming from sagging homes. They got sagging dreams. Yeah, their grades may be sagging. Their personal relationship with their parents may be sagging. Their interpersonal connectivity with how they feel about themselves may also be sagging. Right? But here's the thing. And God forbid the school system and the church is sagging. But here's what I realized. When you pull up the home, when you pull up the school, when they pull up their grades, when you pull up the relationship, when you pull up the community, when you pull up the school, when you pull up the church, here's what I realized. Our children will pull up their pants. It boils down to that whole aspect, education or incarceration. Frightening statistics suggest that if a child has not mastered, I need you to hear me, if a child has not mastered reading by first grade rather, they have less than a 20% chance to graduate from high school. Did you hear what I said? If our children have not mastered reading by at least first grade, they have less than 20% chance of graduating from high school. Serious times, serious measures. And so here's what that promotes. That promotes a whole aspect and a whole level of a lack of pre-literacy exposure, number one. But then you're also seeing the school to prison pipeline. And in many cases, we can even go back even further and say a preschool to prison pipeline. Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu, in his book, Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, what does he say? He asserts that prisons are built based on third grade reading scores. We want to push our young people not to jail, but to Cornell and Yale. Not to prison, but to Princeton. Not to do 4 years in a correctional facility, but to do 4 years at a college or a university. But here's the thing. How are we going to do that if our children are not adapt? How are we going to do that if our children are maladaptive readers? How are we going to do that if they're not literacy coaches? How are we going to do that if we don't have literacy instructors? How are we going to do that if our schools are not properly resourcing the type of teachers, the type of content, the type of methodology, the type of methods, the type of structure that now properly resources what it is that we need to remedy the malady of what it is that we're experiencing in the perplexing predicament of what we call education? Come on, family, type change. Type change. Everybody wants change until they have to actually engage in the fierce urgency of now to change. The data is letting us know. The data, in many cases, of the third grade reading scores, that in many cases are a predictor of prisons. The data is determining the future occupancy of our children in prison facilities. Come on, family, type not my child. Type not my child. Not your child. No, your child is not going to do 4 years in a prison. Your child is not going to do 4 years in a prison house. Your child is not going to jail. Your child is not a stereotype. Your child is a prototype for success. But here's the thing. For any business to be successful, there has to be a gauge to determine profitability and sustainability. And if you don't know this by now, I'm letting you know that prison is big business. So much so that America is incarceration nation. How much so? America houses 95% of the world's prison population. Incarceration trumps education. Ain't no debate about that. School to prison pipeline is the gauge and one of the fierce indicators of what it is that we're experiencing. And guess who the target is? Black and Hispanic brothers and sisters. Yeah, they are in the crosshairs of a cultural chasm. The remnants of Jim Crow did not die. I need you to hear me. All it did was evolve. School to prison pipeline has become the new Jim Crow. It really is become slavery under a new name. Right? Because of the fierce inequity in education. Come on, family, just type it. Education or incarceration. That's what we're talking about. Education or incarceration. Let me reset the room real quickly. We're talking about education or incarceration strategies to unlock our children's dreams. We know how to lock them up. Who's going to do what it takes to unlock our children's dreams? Who's going to take the time to unlock our children's dreams so that now we have a new W.B. Du Bois. Now we have a new Booker T. Washington. Now we have a new Medgar Evers. Now we have a new school, Malcolm Next. Yeah. Now we have a new school, Martin Luther King. Now we have a new school, Coretta Scott, Queen. Hope you hear what I'm saying. Who is going to unlock the scholastic achievement and close the achievement gap? Family, while you're watching us, I would that you drop a super chat. We're having a super conversation. Drop a super chat. Drop a super sticker. If you're not a part of our show, if you're not a part of our community, that's it right here. Our community, which is in the mix. I would that you become a member right now. Don't just watch In the Mix and not become a member of In the Mix. It's simple. Just to become a member of In the Mix, all you have to do is just click the link, tap the link in the description of this video, tap the link in this live chat. As a matter of fact. And there are 3 tiers: OQP, VIP, royalty. OQP, only quality people. VIP, you're a very important person with a very important purpose. Then royalty, your royalty demands loyalty. You up with VIP, royalty, OQP? Yeah, you up with OQP, now you show me. Yeah, you up with OQP, yeah, you know me. You up with OQP, now you show me. Go ahead and get one of those badges for just as little as $9.99. That means you're a partner with us. And my gift to you is now giving you access to our Connor's Corner. I'm giving you access to much of the content that I don't share everywhere, just here in our members only area. Membership has its privileges. If you're not a part of our Eagles community, I would that you become a member now. Yeah, become a member. Soar with us on a greater level where I'm teaching, I'm coaching, I'm training, I'm speaking life into your life. I'm giving you strategy, structure, solutions, and systems to take your vision to another dimension. Go right now to theeaglesacademy.com, theeaglesacademy.com, theeaglesacademy.com. When you get there, tap the join now button, fill out the form, be transformed. Education or incarceration is a conversation. And here's the thing. The National Commission on Adult Literacy suggests that illiteracy doesn't just affect our children. Illiteracy is also highly correlated with imprisonment, given that 56% of U.S. adults in prison or jail were deemed to have very low literacy skills. I live in the city of Detroit. And what they say is that the research says that 47%, close to 50% of the residents in the city of Detroit are functionally illiterate. What does that mean? Many individuals have a tough time reading beyond the 4th grade level. And so we understand that literacy becomes the lens of how you look through life. Low literacy skills generally is going to mean you're not going to engage in civil discourse. You're not going to be one who engages civically with your duty of voting. And we know that as we're in this election cycle, hey, we got to make the right choice. But more than just our voice, but with our vote. And our vote has to be our voice. But lack of literacy may now move you into a place to where you're living a life that is a vice. That job you may not be able to get because you may not necessarily know how to fill out the application. Then when you possibly, if you do fill out the application, you may not be able to sustain it because of your low literacy skills. It affects all elements and aspects of life. My people perish for a lack of knowledge. Write the vision, make it plain. He that readeth it may run. That's literacy, family. That's literacy. Same money. that is oftentimes put into prisons is gotta be invested into our children to read. James Baldwin, one of the greatest writers of the 20th century, said this: to be black in America is to be black in America, to be relatively conscious, is to be in a rage almost all the time. Let me say that twice. To be black in America and to be relatively conscious means to be in a rage almost all the time. How can you not have righteous indignation throughout the streets of the nation when you see what's going on in our communities, in our classrooms, when people are vulnerably housed, when many of our young people, our children are vulnerably housed, if not homeless, without opportunities, people living paycheck to paycheck, have student loan debt, have credit card debt. Violence and crime, dilapidation, underfunded schools, underpaid teachers, undereducated children, politics, bureaucracy, putting people over principles. Yeah, personalities rather over principles. Here's what James Baldwin also said: I love America more than any other country in this world. And exactly for this reason, I insist on the right to criticize her perpetually. True and unadulterated love is never void of constructive criticism, never void of correction. And here's what we must do. If we love our children, if we want to see their growth in the school system, if we love the whole aspect of education, we have to critique the American school system. We have to provide strategies. We have to make sure that we properly resource with course correction so that our children are not subject to substandard education. What are one of the preeminent aspects in the Constitution? Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Education is supposed to be that aspect that gives us life, but also injects liberty into us. And as a result of getting education, we ought to be happier about who it is that we are, where it is that we're going, because now we have direction. Come on, family, type direction. Type direction. Type direction. Real teachers, real leaders understand this is more than just a paycheck. This is purpose. This is more than just a career. This is a calling. This is not about me just punching the hours on the clock just so that I can get a vacation. No, this is a vocation. Why? Because it speaks to my dedication. Family, I really have something that I want to share with you. I told you that I have a very special surprise for you. Yeah, I don't want you to touch that dial. Smile. Breaking news. Yeah, breaking news. I got a very, very, very special message in the midst of this very special message. I don't want you to go any place. I want you to stick and stay. More is coming your way. We got some more mixing it up to do, right? But I want you to stick and stay and listen to this. After these messages, I'll be right back. Our schools are underfunded, teachers are underpaid, and our children are undereducated. Our classrooms, culture, curriculum, and communities are in crisis like never before. Education is the key, but the lock is broken. So how do we fix it? I'm so glad that you asked. I'm giving you strategies in my new book. It's my 17th book, by the way, called Strategies for Successful Schools. How to develop a diverse classroom of learners who read, lead, and succeed. This is a book that's available right now for our educational leaders. It's a must-read for school board members, parents, community advocates, transformative teachers. But not only that, so many of our young people are struggling with their academics, their mental well-being, limiting beliefs, procrastination, interpersonal trauma, and just feeling like they're hopeless. But what if there was a go-to guide to empower you to be a champion? Here's the good news. I've got another book for you. It's my 18th one. Learners are Leaders, Strategies and Solutions for Student Success. It's got a 31-day journal in there. It's got affirmations, really a lot of valuable life lessons, ways to set smart goals for success, improve your mental well-being, foster academic success. So much more that is in store when you get not just one, but both of these books. They're both available right now on Amazon. But also, you can get signed copies that are available at theeaglesacademy.com/books. Don't just get them for you, but also get them for someone else too. Yes, y'all, and we don't stop. Come on, family, I need you to heed to these resources that you've heard. Yeah, we're going to get back to the word after I mention that I'm so excited and I just can't hide it because family, they're here. Yeah, you heard the message about it, but I'm letting you see it with your own two eyes. That's right. Learners are Leaders and Strategies for Successful Schools. Books 17 and 18. Lord have mercy. Boy, was that a lot of work. Listen, I've written 2 books in a year before, but just not at the same time. And then releasing them on the same day. It's release day, family. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. It's release day, family. I'm grateful. I'm glad. I'm blessed. Because here's the thing. Whether you're a preteen or a preschool teacher, whether you're a teenager, a teacher, a community member, administrator, you can benefit from not just one, but from both books. Yeah, Strategies for Successful Schools. How to develop a diverse classroom of learners who read, lead, and succeed. Family, it's a daring roadmap I wrote. Yeah, to rethink, to reimagine, to reshape, to reconstruct our schools for ultimate student success. As I mentioned before, education is the key, but the lock is broken. And if you really care about our schools, if you really care about our teachers, if you really care about what goes on in our classrooms and our communities, this is a must read. A must read for every educational leader, a must read for every school board member, a must read for every parent, for every community advocate, for every transformative teacher. Yes, for those of you who love our children like you say you do, but also desire that our children succeed. Because here's the thing, any good teacher, any good parent, what do they want? They want their children. They want those who they mentor to do and be better than them. I'm not a father, but I'm a father figure. I'm a mentor. And so what I want my mentees to be better than me. I want my students who I've taught to be better than me. Because the beauty of teaching is this. Teaching gives you speed. It takes what you've learned in decades and gives it to you in days, moments and months, and gives it to you in minutes. That's also why I wrote Learners are Leaders. Books 17 and 18, family. What a very, very daunting task to write 2 books at the same time. I don't necessarily recommend it, but y'all know me, I'm a workaholic. I got to get it out. I'm frustrated internally until it's written, and here it is, it's written. But I wrote this for our children, right? This one for our community members, our parents, our teachers. This one specifically for our children. And I realized so many of our young people are just struggling. You know, they're dealing with trauma. They're dealing with things that we never dealt with as adults. And when you think about going in retrospect in our childhood, and in many cases, if we did deal with it, it sure is times 10 now. It's exponentially increased. What am I talking about? The limited beliefs, the procrastination, bullying, hopelessness, mental well-being, mental health, struggling with academics. And how do we resurrect the champion that's in our children? What's a go-to guide that our children can actually pick up and use as a resource? Here's the good news. This is that book. It's that book. This is something that I wish I had when I was a kid. Something that I wish that would speak to who it is that I am and speak my language. Learn as a leader, strategies and solutions for student success. I'm telling you, in this book, you're going to get the strategic steps to really manifest your vision for our children to be academically successful. This also includes a 31-day journal, how to improve your mental well-being, how to create systems that are going to put you in position to win, how to develop positive affirmations for your life, how to cultivate your critical thinking skills, how to foster academic success, literacy proficiency, so much more. I really want you to get both of these books. They're available right now. It's release day, family. You can help me to make these books a success. You can go get them right now on Amazon. They're also available as signed copies at theeaglesacademy.com/books. Here's what I want you to do as well. When you get my books, any of my books, I hope you'd also give them to your children. I hope you also give them to a community member, a teacher, an administrator. Here's what I also want you to do. I want you to join my launch team. Join my launch team by getting any of my books and then just tag me simply on social media. Tag me in your story. Tag me on social media. We want to spread the word about these books and also how these are resources for our children, especially for this school year. I do a lot of in-services. I do graduations. I come in for career day. I do mentoring sessions. I have a mentoring program that your school needs. I encourage you to invite me in. I encourage you to allow me to be a voice in your teacher in-services throughout your school. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and just serve on a greater level. You can help me do that. You can help me to do that. And you can go ahead and support any of these books right now. Listen, I know you say, wow, you sure enough did pop out with it. And here's what I decided not to do. I'm not making an announcement about an announcement. You know what my announcement is? My announcement is that this is the announcement. Yeah, this is a season of surprise. Here it is. Yeah, I dropped it like it was Beyonce. I dropped it like Beyonce did. I dropped it like Kendrick Lamar did it. Not making an announcement about announcement. The announcement is this is the announcement. Season of surprise. Not letting you know what's coming is here. Let's go get it in gear. And I encourage you to go ahead and get it there. Family, we're talking. We're talking. Yes, yes, yes. I'm excited to be talking with you. Told you it was going to be a special surprise for you. Really did. And we're talking about educational incarceration. And if we got to talk about it more than ever before, we sure enough need to talk about it these days. We got to talk about strategies to unlock our children's dreams. And here's the thing. I really want you to take a look at our classrooms, our culture, our curriculum, and our communities that are riddled in crisis like never before. It's in an upheaval. Not all schools are bad. Not all communities are bad. But we sure enough got to do something about the ones that are. We sure do have to improve them. None of them are totally perfect. But our children are worth it. And the resounding question suggests, what is the value of black and brown life in these yet to be United States of America? The school system has an allocated funding. Many of them do about $9,608 per pupil expenditure. However, the prison system has an allotment of $42,672 per prisoner, as America has, as I said before, the largest prison population in the world, deemed to be incarceration nation. We put more money into prisons than we do into pupils. Did you hear what I'm saying? We put more money into cell block C, then into classroom B. Something is wrong with that. And what we're seeing is a stark dichotomy between education and incarceration. I want to ask you, I want to challenge you. Come on, family, just type accept the challenge. Just type accept the challenge. Thank you for all the congratulatory words. Thank you for all the congratulations, by the way. Appreciate that. This is a tall, tough task right here. This is a tall, tough task. More and more what we're seeing clearly, as I said before, is either education or incarceration. But here's the thing, that we have to accept this challenge. When will we get dogmatically upset? When will we have, as James Baldwin talked about, that righteous indignation to disrupt the systemic preschool to prison pipeline? Because at an astounding rate, schools are closed, prisons are open. Sad reality is that oftentimes prison becomes a rites of passage, particularly for our young black males. According to researchers, 60% of the incarcerated males and juveniles under the age of 18 are African American. Our black boys, our black young men. Family, there is an overrepresentation of black youth and men in jails at a disproportionate rate. Overwhelming interconnection between education and mass incarceration. And let me just tell you this is not just a physical prison, but sometimes there is also a prison without bars that first begins before the physical prison happens. Psychological pain, emotional incarceration, intergenerational trauma. As Dr. Joy DeGroy talked about in her book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, that we carry in our DNA, the traumatic effects of what is passed down from generation to generation. And if we don't remedy it, we end up reenacting it. Why? Because we live reacting rather than responding. And ultimately, it locks people out of access to opportunity. Come on, family, just type access. We need access. We need opportunity. We got to have opportunity schools. We got to have opportunity zones. We got to have opportunity classrooms. We have to have innovative aspects that now incorporate a new wave of technology that may incorporate ChatGPT, that may incorporate social media, to where we understand that you can use social media not just as a toy, but as a tool that really has to incorporate coding so that our young people can create new software, so that our young people can engage in science, technology, engineering, math, STEM, to stem the tide. We got to do something different to get something different. We have to place a demand on the shift of what it is that we have to engage in, the fierce urgency of now. Come on, family, I just need you to just type this. Type now is the time. Come on, type now is the time. We got to hold schools. We got to hold communities. We have to hold council members. We have to hold government entities. We have to hold politicians. We have to even hold ourselves accountable to see that our children receive a proper education. Why? Because if they don't, we know that the spectrum of incarceration looms greatly. It's an injustice when prisons are in better conditions than our schools and neighborhoods, family. You know what the injustice is? It's an injustice when a child lives in an impoverished community and receives a poor education. It's an injustice when schools are not given the adequate amenities, and the financial resources to properly resource, and provide the methodologies and the strategies that our children need in order to compete in a global economy. It's a tragedy that beyond just DNA, there's a ZNA, a zip code neighborhood association, to where if you live in a particular zip code, you don't get access, you don't get amenities, you don't get a good academic future, you don't get good educational resources, you are undervalued, you are under-resourced, sadly understaffed, as a result undereducated. This is the predicament. How can a child be motivated to attend school when they have to watch their back because of an unsafe environment? How can our children be motivated to walk to school when there's only one street light on the neighborhood block that's working? How can you walk safely and confidently to school when the city refuses to install street lights? Right? The basic necessities must be met for our people to have access, but also to make adequate progress. What are we doing? We just padding our pockets? What are we doing? Are we making our children in the classroom feel seen, heard, loved, valued? What are we doing? Is the first time that we speak does the first time that we speak critique? Or does it build? Does it make our children feel bigger, better, brighter? Do we understand that listen, maybe Jamal, maybe Javier, maybe Maria, maybe Shanika watched as over the weekend they had to bury their family member, their loved one, because they were shot in a rage of fire. Shot down in a rage of an argument. Maybe they haven't eaten in the last 2 or 3 days. Or do we just throw the baby out with the bathwater? They're experiencing unimaginable trauma, rage, anger, negativity, volatility that in many cases we've never possibly experienced. Do we handle them with care? Do we even care to handle them with care? Or do we just see them as a dollar sign? Do we just see them as a number? Do we just see them as a person who needs to have their butts in the seats for count day? Or do we make them count each day? The fragility of our children's future hangs in the balance. Yeah, it hangs in the balance in a country that has all of the resources. But what do? They willingly turn a blind eye to their needs. What do we need? We need an all hands on deck approach. We got to provide access for restorative justice, for economic stability, access to adequate health care, access to a sustainable education. In the midst of impoverished communities, deprivation, drug abuse, incarceration, poor education, dealing with a myriad of situations that keep us in many cases in a cesspool of calamity, to where someone's zip code determines their life expectancy, much less and much more their quality of education. How can you thrive if you're barely able to survive? What do we hear? Pull yourselves up by your own bootstraps. Well, how can you do that if America took the laces and never gave us boots? You can't expect people to use what was never given to them. Many of our classrooms, many of our schools are just mere reflections of the irreparable damage of slavery, of segregation, of discrimination, of devastation, of deprivation, of racism that has oftentimes crippled our communities, of lack of access to education, trying to do more with less. Former U.S. Secretary Colin Powell, he's passed on now. Colin Powell declared the education of our children is a matter of life and death. Passed on, but his words live on. He said this: if our black boys and our girls cannot read, then jails are waiting for them. If our black youth cannot read, then opportunities for employment will not be available to them. If our black youth cannot read, then when they become parents, is what he said, they will not teach their children to read, and the cycle of struggle will continue to permeate. We have to proactively and strategically combat the cycle of illiteracy, ignorance, and incarceration. The hopes and dreams of our children for tomorrow depends on what we do now, depends on what we do today. We got to do more than just medicate. We got to educate. We got to remediate. The pain, the plight, and the predicament of our children so that we can push them into their promise. Come on, family, just type promise. Come on, type promise. Not your child, not going to go to jail. Not your child, not going to be strung out in the streets. Not your child is not going to be undereducated. Not your child, not your children, not your son, not your daughter, not your grandchild, not your student. In the midst of what we're grappling with, we're going to engage them through the power of innovation. We're going to engage them. Why? Because young people like Kodak film, all they need is development and exposure. More than ever before, in this global education economy, in this global education market, in this global economy of what it is that we're experiencing, we have to expose our children to branding. We have to expose our children to distribution of goods and services. We have to expose our children to education, resources, and expansion. We have to expose our children to the necessities of technology. We have to expose our children to robotics and to coding and to literacy development and to personal finance management. We got to expose them to something beyond just Jeezy, Weezy, Yeezy, and Jay-Z, and Beyonce, and Lil Uzi, and Rihanna, and Megan Thee Stallion. We got to expose them to the greatness of who it is that they are and what it is that they come from. A child's mind is made for more than just computation and memorization. It's for exploration. It's for imagination. It's for innovation. It's for visualization. Hear me. And all of that disrupts incarceration. But before there's ever physical incarceration, mental incarceration ensues further. Malcolm X said, I never felt more free than when I picked up a book and began to read. Why? Because education is the death of mental slavery. Chains are no longer metal, now they're mental. We got to break our children out of the confines of psychological imprisonment. And if you really be honest, us as adults, us as educational leaders, us as quote unquote caring community members, us, for those of you who are parents and guardians and grandparents, and now who are raising grandchildren, loving them, those who are in churches, those who are in our communities, those who are in government. Here's what we got to do. We got to put to death mental slavery as well. We have to put to death the psychological pain and incarceration and the emotional incarceration of what it is that we've experienced. The emotional snipers, the emotional squatters, the things that keep us in a place of limited beliefs, the scarcity mindset. We got to overcome that. Because if not, we will perpetuate it on those who we claim to love. And we can't lead them and lift them until we learn how to lead and love and lift ourselves. Family, we've had a courageous conversation. We've had a super conversation. I would that you sow into this word that you've heard. Drop a super chat. Drop a super sticker. We're doing the work here. Rolling up our sleeves to do the work here. To change a generation. You can help us to do that. You can help us to do that. I would that even as you sow seeds right now, this is where you grow. This is where you soar. I would that you soar into the vision of mentorship. You can help me to provide resources like this for our children, for our teachers, for our amazing students, for that son or that daughter that you want to be successful. You can help me to provide resources by sowing into the vision of my mentoring program, Boys to Books, expanding it into schools, expanding this after-school program with resources, with strategy, structure, solutions, and systems to really increase our ideas, the ideas of our children, to make an impact in their lives, to be able to influence them in the right way, in the right direction. To also expand this broadcast of what it is that we do as I'm here with you each and every single day, Monday through Friday, for what we call In the Mix. You can sow to help Boys to Books soar and to help our children soar, simply by dropping a super chat or super sticker. You can also do that through Cash App, $access identity, PayPal, Zelle is EddieConnorJr at Gmail. No gift is too small. No gift is too big either, because we want to make a big impact, even if it's on a small amount of young people. Yeah, whether it's a small group of 5, whether it's a large group, a big group of 500, every resource that you extend our way helps us to make a significant change. Link is in the chat. The link is in the description of this video for how to sow and for where to sow. And I appreciate you for sowing even now to help and empower our children to grow. I want to be one of those conduits. I am one of those conduits. I would that you would partner with me to help us make this vision a reality. Will you partner with me? Will you do so? You can do that, again, electronically. Cash App, $access identity, PayPal, Zelle, EddieConnorJr at Gmail. And then, of course, super chat, super sticker as you sow into the super conversation. And I'm praying and believing that God gives you 30, 60, 100 fold. That because of your love gift, I'm expecting exceedingly abundantly above all that you can ask or think to permeate and to prosper your life. Family, we've really been having a super conversation. Really have been. I know. I'm not in my Eagles gear tonight. I get it. It's a special day. Decided to dress up for you. But we got class tonight. Yes, we do. We got class tonight. So I would that you would soar with me into our Eagles community, where we have some powerful teaching that takes place. Really do. A lot of transformation. A lot of people coming into the truth and the awareness of who it is that they are. I would that you join us. TheEaglesAcademy.com, TheEaglesAcademy.com, TheEaglesAcademy.com. When you get there, tap the Join Now button. Fill out the form. I guarantee you're going to be transformed. I can't wait to teach tonight Can't wait to transform your life tonight, but I want you to experience it with me, with us tonight. Get into the room. Community changes situations. Community is the new currency. You owe it to you to invest into your relationships, build stronger relationships as well with our amazing community and our amazing community members and accountability partners of gifted leaders. Get access to our private Facebook group. Get access to all of our sessions of me teaching, coaching, training 24/7, 366, 365, access at all times. Then you also get access to all of our content of what it is that I teach each and every single week. So I would that you join us right now. After this session is over, we're going into our Eagles community tonight. I want you to be there with us. Family, if you're not a member of In the Mix, go ahead, tap the link in the chat, link in the description, become a member of In the Mix as well. Family, want to let you know, In the Mix is out of time. But family, I'm not out of truth. So I want to thank you for rocking with me. I want to thank you for riding with me. I really want to thank you for rolling with me. Why? Because that's just how we roll. And we roll together each and every single weekday, Monday through Friday, for In the Mix. We do that right here on the YouTube side, but also on our social media side. Yeah, on our sister satellite stations on social media. And I give a sincere salute to all of you who are watching us there. Family, both of my books out right now. Today's release day. Go ahead and get your copies of my books. As you see, as you hear, I'm very passionate about this topic. I'm very passionate about the subject matter of education. And I've got something for our teachers, but I have also something for our children and our students. Learners and Leaders, Strategies for Successful Schools as well. They're both out right now on Amazon. You can also get signed copies at theeaglesacademy.com/books. Go there, support. And not only just get copies for you, get copies for a friend, family member, teacher, educator, loved one too. Thank you. I want to thank you for rocking with me, riding with me, rolling with me. And of course, I want to ask you, are you my friend? Are we locked in? Then step this way, step that way, step this way, step that way. What way am I talking about? By friending me, by following me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok. We don't stop. At EddieConnorJr. Yeah, family, put some respect on my name. EddieConnorJr. If I can help you, if I can serve you in any way, don't hesitate. Please reach out to me. If you're looking for a dynamic speaker, now why would you look any further? You know I'm the man for the job. So invite me to speak at your church, your conference, your community center, your school, your session, your teacher in service, your graduation. Yeah. Bring me in a graduation this school year. Do that. Let's make some progression. Your college as well. Let's make some progression. All you got to do is email me to invite me. Email me, info@eddieconnor.com. That's right, info@EddieConnor.com. And it would be an honor for me to empower you. Yours truly, Dr. Eddie, your main man, 100 grand. Your brother, and I mean that, from another mother. Family has been fun, but you know a brother got to run. So I want you to know it's been a privilege and a pleasure, a treat and a treasure, a joy. Yes, it has been beyond measure. But I want you, yes, you, I'm talking to you now, to remember to keep the faith and believe it's going to be bigger, better, brighter, peace, and a whole lot of love. Keep soaring higher. Family, there is power in partnership, and we are better together, which is why I am on a mandated mission to activate 30, yes, 30 new action takers who are ready to soar beyond their limits. I'm ready to develop and deploy you into your gifts and your greatness. Now, are you ready? Well, get activated by joining the Eagles Academy, where we cultivate your gifts and your talents to become the greatest version of yourself. And we do this through weekly mastermind sessions where you receive strategies for exponential growth with self-paced Eagles Nest reflections that include personalized feedback to transform you, to renew your mindset, to empower you to take action and actualize your purpose. Are you an action taker? If so, today I ask you, are you ready to answer the call? Well, great. Then visit theeaglesacademy.com and become a member. For only $24.99, you will unlock unlimited knowledge and resources that will launch you and catapult you into the greatest version of yourself. I invite you to the winner's circle. On your mark, get set, go right now to theeaglesacademy.com and seize this moment.